In a moment, I'd like to share with you some of the tools and techniques that I use on a daily basis to overcome some of these slumps that we call them. For example, people have many different types of slumps, okay? Money slumps, where it seems like no matter what you do, it doesn't matter how hard you try, it's very difficult for you to earn money. Have you been in that situation? How about a situation where you were single for a long time and you couldn't find somebody to date for a long time and you just kept on complaining about it to your friends, and it didn't matter how hard you try or how much you researched or how much you developed yourself, your body, your soul, and your mind, and still seem like you're always lonely? Have you been in a situation like this where you try really hard but there are difficulties, where you find yourself in a position where it doesn't matter what you try, it just doesn't seem to work out, you know? And I've been in those situations before, just like a lot of people that I know, perhaps that you know. Which means that there are very, very smart, easy solutions for those problems. And what I come to realize is that people, they live inside the problems. It's very difficult for regular people to really step out of the problematic mindset and get into a solution-based mental, spiritual mindset, into a different area outside of the box. And this all seems to sound really nice. This all seems like a very poetic expression, but no, there is some practical aspects to this. And we could go into the quantum mechanics and how this works in a molecular, quantum level, energetic, very, very elemental states of ether, we call spirit. We could explain from that perspective, but I think that it's much easier for us to use this first before we understand it. Because what I come to realize is that people have tools for everything these days, you know? People have physical tools and mental tools for everything. Devices. Technology is really developed, as you may have noticed. And just like that, mental techniques and spiritual, emotional techniques of being are very developed also. As a matter of fact, there's a plethora of information and an abundance of courses out there that will teach you how to do this stuff in all different sorts of ways, but the challenge is how to find the method that really works for you. But then I thought about this, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was one simple method in which people could use? It doesn't matter how old they were, how healthy they were, how confident they were, how depressed they were. If they just used some of these simple techniques, they would be able to improve the quality of their lives. And then, as I was thinking about these things early in the morning, notice how it seemed like I was able to come up with a sense of peace and insight, where it made me make a decision to make this video, because I know that it doesn't matter how many people will watch this video, somebody will benefit from this. So I had to make a video like this. I really had to. There was no way I was gonna postpone it until tomorrow, so that's why I'm making this video for you, who is taking your time, investing your time to spend a few minutes with me here, with somebody who is not famous, but somebody on the other side, on the opposite side of the world, who is willing to share some of these pleasant techniques and tools that could really improve the quality of your life. And in that sense, in the same manner, let us discuss about, let me introduce and share with you this idea of this experience that I had when I was a little boy. When I was about 6 years old. I was born in South Korea, and I had to move to Argentina at that time, and I could not speak Spanish at that time. I could not speak Castellano, even though I can now. I can understand. I'm not that fluent because it's been such a long time. But my father sent me to a school where it was not an international school. I could not speak the language, and I had to get used to their ways and their culture and their language, and it was a very, very painful experience at the time. Just imagine yourself as a white boy or an Asian kid, a white boy or an Asian kid who went to school and nobody spoke your language. You had no friends, not even the teacher spoke your language. You had nobody at your side, and they were all foreigners. Like, I went to the school and I was the only Asian kid in the entire school. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Just imagine you yourself coming to Asia and your dad sending you to a school where you see no Caucasians or no black people, whichever ethnicity you are from. Doesn't matter, you know? So, and you could tell I got into a lot of trouble, you know? I got into a lot of trouble back then. And the thing is, it was a very difficult period of my life that kept on repeating itself, because later on, my dad moved me to another country, you know? He moved me to Brazil because of his business, and then after Brazil, we went to Paraguay, Uruguay, and then we came back to Korea, and then I went to school in Chicago. It was crazy. It was crazy. So it was very difficult for me. And then at that time, I met this wise person who used to be an advisor for my father. Not a business advisor in a sense, but he was more of a spiritual advisor. And he had, as far as I can remember, he had more control over his emotions, and he knew how to use his emotions as a magnetic manifestation tool. He was very knowledgeable in terms of the occult knowledge and arcane knowledge that is hidden. He seemed to be a member of a particular very secretive organization, and he taught our family a lot of these very, very revolutionary techniques that most people do not have access to. And it was a wonderful experience, and I'd like to share some of the conversations that I had with him. So one day, you know, he was almost telepathic, this certain man. He was an Asian person, very old. I don't remember his name or how old was he was. And he noticed that I was really sad at the corner, sitting down there and really having a hard time with life. And, you know, he noticed, he sensed the amount of pain I was going through on a daily basis. And that man asked me, "What's wrong? Sean, what is wrong with you? Is there something bothering you?" And then I kept on complaining about how lonely I was, you know, in a foreign country. How lonely I was in a foreign country. And then I kept on complaining about and cursing and complaining about my environment. How fucked up my life is in terms of the school that I'm going to, and there's nobody who's friendly to me because I'm very different from them. And then I kept on complaining, but what really, really made a difference that day was that he said, this is exactly what he said. So he said, "Sean, you talk like a person who has a lot of trouble. You talk like a person who cannot communicate with the people around you. You talk like a very lonely person complaining about being lonely. And the reason why you talk like that, and you talk about the things that you talk about, which are you being lonely," all right? It's my little cat, Donald. Donald, say hi. Down, say hi. Alright, so, alright, I'm sorry for that, you know. You could be distracted once in a while, but that's fine. So, this is what I really I was drawn to this person because of something that he said back in the days. Sorry. And this is what he said, you know, Sean, you talk like a person who's really lonely. You talk like a person with all these problems that you say you have because you think you have all these problems, and because you think you're lonely, you're complaining that you are lonely. Now, when you're complaining that you're lonely, it's also because you think you're lonely. And in that sense, because you think and you speak and you think that you're lonely, you look from the perspective of somebody who's lonely, you walk like somebody who's lonely, you behave like somebody who's lonely, you speak with a certain pattern and speed of somebody who is lonely, and in that sense, you will attract more people, circumstances, and events in your life that will make you more lonely. Because you speak like that and because you think like that. Now, if you have the courage to reverse that pattern and speak when you're lonely, speak like you are not lonely. Speak like you're happy and think like you're happy. Because you think like you're happy, you're able to speak like you're happy. Use a certain verbal patterns of somebody who is not lonely, who is happy, who has everything that he or she needs. And then, in a sense, you will be able to walk like with the posture and the position of somebody who is happy, who is not lonely. And then you'll be able to act like somebody who is not lonely, who does not have those problems, and thereby you will be able to make the decisions of a person who doesn't have that problem called loneliness. And in that sense, you will reverse the situation. There's going to be a turning point where you'll be able to attract the people, the circumstances, and the events, not now, but sooner than you imagine, that will allow you to experience a much more better version of reality that you would like to prefer, instead of experiencing a random version of reality where you complain about that you would not prefer to have. And then at that time, I could not really understand what he meant. I could not. But now, after I didn't take that advice very seriously. I just thought and said, wow, I don't know what the fuck he said, but it seems very inspiring for some reason. I kind of understand what he said, but not fully, deeply, profoundly. And then, after a year and a half, we moved to Brazil, and I had the same problems. And I was complaining about the same thing. I was thinking about the same person. I was thinking like the same person, the person who had problems of being lonely, having no friends, and having difficult times with life. And then, because of those thoughts, I was making the decisions of a person who had those problems. Because I was thinking like that person, I was acting like that person, I was speaking and walking and looking to the direction where a lonely person would look at. And then, you know, as later on, I came to discover that I had the power to change those situations all along. It was just a problem of whether I was going to decide to think differently and speak differently. And then I realized that if I start speaking differently, then if I start thinking differently first, because thinking is easy, okay? Just think about this sentence, I am confident. Just say that in your head, I am confident. How long did it take? Wasn't it very easy? It's very easy for you to conceive a thought. And if it's very easy for you to think about something, then it's very easy for you to say something as you think. And if it's very easy for you to say something and conceive something and think like that all the time, then that means, if you're able to notice this, it's also easy for you to act like that little by little, move in that speed, walk like that person, the posture, behave like that, and then start making the decisions of a person that you would like to prefer to be, instead of a person who is victimized due to the circumstances that surround you. And in that sense, without us getting too deep into quantum mechanics, law of attraction, the secrets, or the string theory, the M theory, or whatever physical or metaphysical scientific talk, without us needing to go through all these proofs, philosophical and scientifical and physical, metaphysical, laws of physics and all that, law of manifestation and all that, we could prove to ourselves that whatever situation you're put into, the choice of thoughts is the ultimate authoritarian privilege that you have, that will allow you to, allow you to live the type of life that you would prefer to live at any moment in time. And this is a lesson that I would like to share with you tonight. Thank you for your dedication to spend time, spend energy, invest your energy and time listening to this idea that I'm sharing with you, and let me know what you think about this stuff. All right? You can subscribe and let me know, and share with me your ideas and concepts. Perhaps you might have something better than I have. And I would really appreciate if you could share that stuff with us in our community. And that allows me to really continue with these videos and share some of these insights and ideas and solutions that we can all share and develop ourselves, to experience a higher quality of life. Who here does not like a higher quality of life? All right? Like, who doesn't like more money or health or great relationships and happiness and confidence? All right, thank you guys. Let me know what you guys think.